Greetings, fellow pilots. Rhadamant here. Thank you for tuning in to X4 Foundations, Episode 2, Freelancer for Hire. And back to our ship. Now, there's a bunch of other things here. There's not a lot to do in the ore refinery, but if this was a different type of station with, like... There is the Trader's Quarter, I suppose. So the Trader's Corner allows you to interact with, like, the station's trade.
Here you go.
Where I can then buy, like, the hand laser that I was referring to, which nearly bankrupts me, but that's probably a good thing to buy. There's also the Space Suit Thruster Mark II upgrades. So these are all, like, your personal equipment that is on your person at all times. I'm going to buy the hand laser because I just think it's that necessary to have. The Seminars allows you to upgrade your crewmen. So if I have, for instance, a station manager that is managing one of my production stations, I can buy the Management Seminar to improve their management skills, but their management skills will go up as they use those skills. So, you know, a station manager that does a lot of station management ends up getting better at station management over time. Same with, like, Marines that are used for boarding hostile ships, or engineers that are used for repairing your own ship. All of those skills will be leveled up over time, and those skills open up additional options. So, for instance, a very unskilled pilot won't have as many like options to them as a skilled pilot. So a really skilled trader, for instance, might be able to trade with up to 5 jumps of the home sector, meaning that their trade range will be huge, whereas like a basic trader with basic piloting skills can only probably trade within the local sector. So skills can be massively modifying the ability of the ship, specifically.
Elite.
All right, let's go take care of those bombs. Oops. So then the next quest we picked up was the steady trigger finger required for the bombs. And I can always look at the mission offers, because it's possible that I find other missions. But generally speaking, once you accept all the missions in a specific region, it takes a while for them to, like, regenerate new missions. Now, there are other ways to pick up missions. It's not just this local broadcast. I could scan around the ore refinery to see some, like, black market offers of smuggling and the like. And we can get into that a little bit later. I just want to take the Argon Federation missions to build up my Argon rep. And after this, I can have you guys vote on whether you want me to take some more local missions or to explore. Now, unlike a lot of games, there isn't like a concept of fuel. So I don't need to be buying fuel to be able to refuel my ship or anything like that, which is nice. So this is an accelerator, which is going to teleport me to Black Hole Sun 5.
Autopilot disengage. Entering Black Hole Sun 5.
The mission that I have wants me to go to Grand Exchange 3. Which means that there is a jump gate. Maybe this one? Center of the screen? So let's travel drive over there to see if that is indeed the jump gate. Now, you can open up, like, on a separate screen or whatever, a map of the entire galaxy, because the galaxy is not procedurally generated, it is static. But it's pseudo-static, meaning that at the start of the game, everything will be the same, but any of these individual stations could easily be blown up by me or hostile powers. So if the Argon Federation, like, let's say, got attacked by the Xenon, they could wipe out all of the stations within Black Hole Sun 4, right? So at the start of the game, everything is kind of known and more or less in static positions, but that will change over time as different governments will build new stations or destroy other stations or repair or whatever. So as time progresses in the game, you know, the known static locations of things may change dramatically. For everybody that have been subbing and cheering, thank you so very much. You guys are amazing. Cheers. So as we're flying around, it looks like taking more local missions is the popular option, so I should probably have my mission offers overlay up. The thing is, if I'm not around a lot of stations, stations are generally the mission givers. I'm not going to be finding new missions. So if I wanted to find missions, I would need to go to stations. So before I fly through this gate, one of the ways to find stations, and let me pause my travel drive, is to go to the long-range scanner, hold R, let out a pulse, and it will ping all of the sort of major things. So you can see there's a tons of pings over here, which is probably an asteroid belt. As you can see, now it's like filling in with the fog. But it's a good way to spot stations long range. Plus, you could just see them on the map. So there's station there, so on and so forth. Once I have the money to buy like scout ships, you can also issue orders to scout ships to survey an entire sector. Because I only really see what I fly around. And it's not reasonable. So here's all these question marks are the pings from my long-range scanner. So these are just like, hey, there was a ping here. We don't know what it is. You got to get closer to figure it out. But as we get a little bit more money, I can definitely buy a scout ship to be able to survey solar systems, to be able to know its gate networks and stations and all of that stuff. There's definitely a lot of benefit in having a bunch of scout ships doing this surveying for you, because surveying it manually kind of sucks.
Unknown sector.
So this jump gate does lead to Grand Exchange 3 because it's highlighted in that orange. So you can see that that is exactly what my guidance computer wants me to do.
Entering system. Grand Exchange.
All right. And here we have the mines that I need to blow up. About 300 kilometers away, so it's going to take a little bit of time to get there. And as we're traveling around, seek out high-yield resources. So this is finding... I would need a resource probe to be able to fulfill this one. But that might be fun to do.
I could count on you.
Just to show resource probes. So I'll accept that as well. And this one is for an entire different faction. Grand Exchange is not owned by the Argon Federation. It's owned by the Talati. The easiest way to describe the Argon Federation is just basically like a federation of humans. The Talati are sort of like lizard-like people that really like trade and money, is probably the best way to describe them. You have the Paranids, which are high-tech and kind of religious. You have the Split, who are like totally into slavery and combat and like tribalism. You have the Terrans, who are also humans, but very isolationist and high-tech. The Bofu, or the Boron, you know, there's a bunch of different species in here, and as we interact with them, I'll try to give you a brief synopsis of what they're like and what they're about. But right now we're in Talati space. If Talati space, so there's different colors here. Blue means it's like neutral to us. Green means it's owned by us. Let's see if so if they were hostile, would be red. Hostile, but not fire on open, like not free for all fire would be enemy. So if we had really low reputation with the Talati, they would be more pink, and if we had a horrible reputation with them, they'd be red. So it does warn you if you enter a new sector and you have a really bad relation with the local factions.
Unknown object.
The other thing is we are technically flying straight into a minefield, so I'm gonna want to stop short of the minefield or I'm gonna blow up as a result. Also, I should probably save first. I mean, it's pretty rare that I blow myself up on a minefield, but I'm also not used to flying such a small ship. Most of my gameplay is played flying bigger ships than this starter ship, as you might imagine. This starter ship is a tiny little fighter that is not capable of very much. But good enough at the start.
Unknown object.
Now, there's not a lot of ships or upgrades that I like from the Talati, so if we do want to take more missions for money, I may want to fly back to Argon Space to specifically take the Argon missions, but I did want to show you resource probes, because that's a asset or aspect of the game that I did not cover in the tutorial. So there is like 20 or so mines here around the Claytronics factory that I'm assuming the Claytronics factory wants me to blow up. We just have to be real careful not to trip the mines ourselves. Now, there's different types of mines. These are kind of like dumb mines that don't home or track or try to kill you necessarily. But there is like friend-foe mines that will like seek you out. So the Zyarth Patriarchy are the ones that deployed this mine. The Zyarth Patriarchy is kind of like an enemy of ours. They're sort of xenophobically hostile, meaning that, which is why they're in the pink. If we had a worse reputation... Oh, I'm getting really close to this mine. If we had a worse reputation with them, they'd be more red. And I'm just trying to go through, blow these mines up safely.
Friend-foe mine.
Oh, these are friend-foe mines. So friend-foe mines won't blow up on friends. So they're kind of smarter than default mines. But they're more expensive. So often when you're trying to area denial on the cheap, you'll just lay a whole bunch of mines, not friend-foe mines, but friend-foe mines and like seeker mines are a little bit more dangerous. But you can, you know, if I was allied with the Zyarth Patriarchy, these things wouldn't blow up on me. So any of the deployables, typically there's like 3 types of deployables, or 2 types of deployables. There's military deployables and civilian deployables. So civilian deployables might be resource probes, which measure the resource density of the asteroids around to figure out where it is good to mine and where isn't it good to mine. Then you have satellites, which just reveal... Ooh, I think we just had a mine blow up on us. Then you have satellites and advanced satellites, which reveal information, like trade information and radar information. And then the military deployables tend to be mines and laser towers. So laser towers are like sort of cheap defenses that you can deploy. So a good use of laser towers would be to deploying it around your own stations or deploying it around gates to do gate denials, things like that. Laser towers aren't really able to fight too much, though. They're not, like, actually all that capable. So if you want to be blowing up big fleets or big ships or a high number of things, it's not all that reasonable to deploy, like, hundreds of laser towers. At that point, you probably want a defensive station, which is an active deployed station.
Unknown object.
So we're almost through all these mines. Only a few left. Like, 6.
Friend-foe mine. Unknown object.
And then I'll look for more missions. Or rather, I will be trying to buy a resource probe. So, or probably a few for the next mission. Come on. There we go. Almost done. The reticle will kind of auto-aim at your target within reason, so if I'm too far off center, as you can see, it misses. But as long as I'm roughly aiming at it, it will fire on it. For stationary targets, that might seem unnecessary, but during dogfight space battles, without that, it would be very difficult to hit other fighters as you're both, like, strafing around each other, pulling crazy high-G maneuvers. You know, if you didn't have some sort of, like, auto-aim or auto-assist, you would hit nothing most of the time. And there's 2 types of weapons. There are the manual weapons that are front-facing, which are the guns, and then you also have turrets. So my tiny little ship doesn't have any turrets, but turrets tend to be giant, well, like a tank turret, where they will act independently of your guns. And you can have turrets set up to attack capital ships or blow up missiles or whatever you want them to do. So there we go. We have blown up all the mines and gotten paid as a result. So the next mission that we have here is the Seeking High Yield Resources in Grand Exchange. In order to do this mission, I need to buy resource probes, which I might need to fly to the Argonne equipment dock in order to buy those, unless they're being traded somewhere closer. Because I am not sure if any of the stations around here have resource probes. So one of the ways to do this is to hit the trade overlay here, and we'll show you what can be bought and what can be sold in the area. And if I want resource probe, where would it be? It would actually be equipment. But this is a pretty good overlay of, like, what is bought and sold. So, for instance, the food complex that I originally had a mission for, as you can see, buys the 5 things that it wanted. The little icons is how much in stock it is. So, for instance, if I go to the ore refinery here, it has tons and tons and tons of ore, but it doesn't have a lot of medical supplies or food rations. So those like hexagonal markers are indicator of its total stock, and if you mouse over it, it will actually tell you the number. So it has 1720 food rations and 51091 ore. So it has tons and tons of ore in the ore refinery, meaning that like it wouldn't make much sense to try to supply more ore to the ore refinery because probably it has as much ore as it really wants. But this it gives you a quick overlay of if there's any shortages of any specific thing. The other way to get the equipment would be also to go out to the Argon Wharf. But I'm probably going to head to the equipment dock. So let's just start guidance to the object and autopilot our way there. So you'll see that I no longer have this mission as my active highlighted mission. Actually, you know what? We could
autopilot. Autopilot.
Maybe go to the Talati trade station first. Now, when it comes to mining, one of the ways to look at it is the legend here. Red regions have mineral mining, blue have gas mining, and purple have both. So my current mission offer is to seek out somewhere that has hydrogen, which is obviously going to be gas, and it wants hydrogen within Grand Exchange 3. So I need to find hydrogen that is at least 0.03 density per cubic kilometer within Grand Exchange. And the way to do this is to release resource probes to be able to analyze the hydrogen in the area to fulfill the mission, which is somewhere around here. So it wants me to find hydrogen gas in that pocket. And this is the Talati trade station that we're headed into. By destroying those mines, does it have an effect that I can see in the game? Well, yes. If a ship hostile to the Zyath Patriarchy had tried to dock with that Claytronics factory, those mines would have quite possibly blown that ship up. So for a lot of these quests, it will like create a minefield out of sort of nothing for the purpose of the quest. Meaning that if I didn't accept the quest, maybe that minefield wouldn't have been there. But it does have an effect when you do these missions, because some of the missions will be like, build a giant fleet for the Argon Federation, or build like a defensive station for the Argon Federation. And those missions, if you fulfill them for the Argon Federation and turn the stations or fleets over, will give a new war fleet to the faction, or to maybe annex new territory for the faction, because any region that is doesn't have any administrative centers or defense stations are unclaimed. So you actually have like land grabs, and that's actually a big thing that I want to do for this specific series, is to try to claim an unclaimed sector, which means that I need to move on it quickly, because unclaimed sectors tend to be claimed after not too long of a time. But it's really cool to own your own sector, which is something I would want to do. Alright, so I've docked here, and here's what they have.
Welcome.
In stock. So they don't have what I'm looking for. What they do have is illegal space fuel and Magidust. Magidust is illegal in the god realm of the Paranid, and space fuel is illegal in the Argon Federation. So if I want to be going into the Argon Federation, carrying a bunch of space fuel on me is maybe not a good idea, as it is deemed illegal. But obviously, the risk and the reward can make it worthwhile to smuggle things like that. you know, if you can outpace the local police or avoid shield scanning, and there's a whole bunch of ways to smuggle things like that. All right, so now that we've done that, let's go to the Argonne equipment dock. I just wanted to show you the sales for the specific region. This is when autopiloting can sometimes fail, where I'm like within the region of a of a station, and it might think I'm like clipping into the station and not have me move as fast as I possibly could move. When you own your own sector, you can sort of set it up like your own faction. Yes. You are, by default, sort of your own faction. Well, it depends on the scenario start, but as a young gun, I don't belong to a faction. I'm a freelancer, but you can absolutely set up your own faction.
Entering system.
Once you start building and expanding, which is a very cool part of the game, and this is the organization name. So maybe I should rename myself.
Autopilot.
Oops.
Disengage. Autopilot.
Didn't mean to
Engaged.
disengage my autopilot. So I've got my own name here, and then my organization name. The Rhadamant Republic. You can also pick a logo. And actually, you know what? It's kind of fitting. Rhadamant in mythology was the founder of Spartan law, so like a Spartan-looking helmet kind of fits. And then the ship skin, what our default ships look like. And all of these sort of Empire overview things is kind of funny to do because, of course, I don't have an Empire. I have like a tiny little fighter. While we are autopiloting to the next location that I've plugged in, it might be worth showing some of this information. So then we have faction relationships. So the Xyrath Patriarchy doesn't really like me, but they're not openly hostile. Xenon and the Cock, and yes, that's their name. Or Ka'ak, or whatever you want to call it, are openly hostile to me. And then we have the Antigone Republic, the Argonne Federation. So the Argonne Federation, I have a little bit of rep with them. I'm still neutral. But as I gain a little bit more rep up to 10, I will be able to have a Federation military ship license, a police license, all of that stuff. And then at 20, you're the hero of the Federation. It gives you even more offers. And all of these are separate factions. So, as I mentioned earlier, I like parented ships, and I like Terran equipment. So building on my relationship with the Paranids and the Terrans will be ideal. But I wouldn't mind being able to try to annex territory earlier on as well. And to be able to annex territory, I just need rep enough with any one faction and enough credits to be able to buy the stations needed to set up like a land claim. Scale plate pact here at -5 is still neutral, but they are essentially a crime syndicate. And then the Xyrath Patriarchy is like a split clan, and they're not so friendly.
Argonne equipment dock. Docking aborted. Docking granted.
All right, let's dock with this Argonne equipment dock, and let's see about buying some equipment. And I can also practice old school docking. I'm not used to docking like this, because I usually just buy the improved docking computers. Oh, more forward. There we go.
Successfully docked.
Welcome.
So there's nothing that I necessarily want to trade here as well. I think what I'm going to need to do for that mission that I had picked is to probably go all the way out to the wharf. The thing is, I don't have full knowledge of these systems that I'm in, so it's quite possible, and it's quite possible that there are closer places to buy the things I need. I just wouldn't necessarily know it without doing the surveying myself. But I did mention that I wanted Argonne rep more than Talati rep, so I don't mind just abandoning that mission, as it will take me a little bit of time to be able to get the resource probes required. So I can just abort the mission. It doesn't really hurt me at all. And instead, what I want to do is I want to head out towards the Argonne Wharf, towards Argonne Prime.
Autopilot engaged.
The other thing that I could do while I'm here is this red ship here, if you're wondering, is a known smuggler, and local police would like me to blow them up. I wouldn't say it's necessarily worth your while to like stay here and blow up a bunch of smugglers over and over and over unless you have a quest for it. But it's just one way to befriend allies. And the one point of advice I can offer you is be very careful when you fire, because the reputation advantages of like blowing up a smuggler and the smugglers, these tiny little trade ships don't really like follow physics, so this one obviously like went inside the station, so I'm not gonna be able to blow that one up, so I'm not gonna bother. But if I was to misfire and fire on the station, well, that is going to hurt my reputation more than I would gain from blowing up a tiny smuggler.
Docking aborted.
Oh yeah, I could have also done the ship upgrade. I still want to get to the wharf, but maybe I'll show that, as Kellyanne mentions. So I'm going to double back to the Argon equipment dock. And one fast way to do that is to travel drive drift, which is what I just did. I didn't actually come to a complete stop. I turned off my assist drive here, my drive assist, and then turned it back on while I'm pointing at the correct direction. That's kind of like an e-brake maneuver in a car or something. Fast and Furious. Oh, yeah. Another thing I could do is to scan this station for data leaks and the like.
Equipment dock. Docking granted.
Yeah, let me redock and do the upgrades. I also wouldn't mind adding some additional like weapons to this ship, even if they are like rinky-dink weapons. Having only one gun and probably only one shield module, I'd imagine, makes this ship like more underpowered than it really needs to be. I don't want to overinvest in this ship necessarily because it's just a starter ship, and no matter what I do to it, it's never going to be great. But I can at least have it be like decent enough.
Welcome.
So this is the ship upgrades. I'm going to spend a second to explain this menu. Let me hide my overlay so that you can see it all. So every ship will have engines, and there's different types of engines. There are the all-around engines, the combat engines. So the combat engines tend to have higher boosts and accelerations, and then the travel engines tend to have higher travel speed. So travel engines is really good for trade ships, and combat engines is really good for combat ships. And all-around is kind of the worst of both options, so I tend to avoid the all-around ships unless you really do have a ship that's going to do both.
Requesting permission to dock.
And then likewise, you have the all-around thrusters and the combat thrusters. So this is the combat thrusters are like strafe speeds and the like, and the all-arounders are less combat oriented. So you can pick between the two. Then you have your shields. This ship only has one shield slot, which is a Mark 1 shield, but you can have bigger shields for more shield capacity and recharge rate. There's different weapons. This ship only comes with a single slot weapon, so I'm not going to be able to add additional weapons to this thing because it's such a rinky-dink ship. Then you have software. So if I wanted to be able to dock easier, I could install the docking computer Mark II, and I'd be able to dock real quick. Or the Mark 1, which would be cheaper, or none. If I wanted to automate this ship for trade, having the AI control it and have it automatically trade, I could do a trade computer, and then there's the police scanner to be able to scan for local police, for like criminals and like, and to be able to fulfill police contracts. It just occurred to me that I started off with resource probes. I have 5 resource probes in the ship. I never checked. I should have. And then I have nav beacons and satellites already installed as well. Then you have crew. And essentially you have 2 types of crew. You have service crew, which repair the hull of the ship once it gets damaged, but it repairs really slowly. And they also repair any specific broken sections. So for instance, if I got shot in the SEAL section and it broke, the service crew would be able to very slowly repair that. And then you have Marines used for docking boarding enemy ships. So I already have the resource probes required. But I suppose while I'm here... no, I'm going to save my money. And seek out some additional missions for the Argon. So let's go up to Argon Prime, and while traveling there, I'll just keep the mission offers overlay up to see what there is. being around close clusters of stations tend to be the ones to give you missions. So flying here, for instance, buzzing by this area would give me more information about mission offers. And if I wanted to see what was in my ship, I didn't have to go into the station. I could have just checked in this menu to see what, my ship's equipment and the like. Current crew, current loadout, with satellites, nav beacons, and resource probes. That was all relevant here, and I just never checked. Here we go. A return to normal, which is to destroy laser towers. That's going to be a little bit harder. This one is deploy 12 mines at a target location for the Argon Federation.
Autopilot.
Sure, I'll do that. So they want me to deploy mines somewhere within second contact to flashpoint. And
autopilot engaged.
To be able to fulfill that mission, I'm going to need mines. So let's go back to the equipment dock and buy some. So for this mission, the return to normal, it has me destroying laser towers. I just don't know how many laser towers there are, and the ship that I have right now is very under-equipped. So it would be a little bit dangerous for me to do a mission like that without, further knowledge. And the thing is, I don't really want to accept missions and spend a whole lot of time working towards them, only to realize I am incapable of completing them due to ship deficiency or whatever, or skill deficiency. That might be also an issue. So I'm going to avoid missions that are ranked much higher than what I think I can manage. So for the other menu items, you have the game options. You've got the player information with all of these nested settings. Though typically you'll use the messages if you have any messages coming through the pipe. Messages might be something like
autopilot.
If you have an offer for a special mission from a certain faction, or if any of your player-owned ships have completed orders or need help or things like that, tend to be coming through as missions.
Successfully docked.
So it wanted me to deploy 12 mines. I have enough money for 12, which is good. I bought them. I need to wait for the trade to finish because the actual mines need to be loaded up onto my ship. And now I own 12 mines and I'm ready to deploy them. So I need to go to a new sector to be able to do that. And luckily the transport for that is right here. David and Sapo, thank you for the resubs. And there's like so much going on, but yeah, everybody that is supporting the stream, thank you so very much. I really do appreciate it. So cheers, I'll drink to all of you.
Entering Black Hole Sun 5. Jump Gate Grand Exchange.
So we just passed, just now, a ship that that is owned by the Terrans. And as you can see, my relationship with the Terrans is like pink. The Terrans are, like I said, kind of isolationist. So at some point I'm going to want to try to build up my relationship with the Terrans, but I don't start off with them liking me very much. So it is a wee bit of a challenge. And also, without, opening up like a third-party map, I don't know where they are anyway. I only know the Argon and the Talati for now. Is there quick travel between major sectors? Sort of. So there's different travel methods. there are jump gates, accelerators, superhighways, and highways. So accelerators and jump gates are basically the same. The superhighways have you travel not instantly, but near instantly from sector to sector. And then highways are used to travel quickly within a sector. Oh, I got a message. A wondrous opportunity. Dear recipient, I hope this message finds you well. The time has come to solve a great scientific mystery. And it wants me to pay attention to signal leaks on nearby stations. Without spoiling anything, this is really, really, really important, but I'm not going to do this immediately. I'm going to fulfill some of the additional contracts that I have for some scratch.
Autopilot disengaged.
So where does this mission want me to be? In the target area. Trying to figure out where this target area is. I don't even see it right now. I don't know where the target area is. I need to be in Grand Exchange 1. Okay, so in that case, we need to find another gate. I think... Is that a gate right there?
Vulture,
so there's a gate
Sentinel.
somewhere in this sector that leads me to Grand Exchange 1, and I just need to physically find it. So F2 opens up like a third-person view. They call it camera drones, but it's basically just a third-person view, and the number pad on your keyboard allows you to like pan around it, which is a good way to, as you're traveling, to like spot points of interest. And obviously there's also the long-range scanner as well. But I'm looking for accelerators or jump gates that might lead me to another system. Another way to do that, of course, is to long-range scan and to put unknown stations on your map. So here was a long-range scan ping using Shift 3, or you can always go to Mode Long-Range Scan in your ship menu. And generally, not always, but a lot of the times, the jump gates will be at the edge of the system that you're in. That's not always true. So let's try to spot this gate. The other thing I could do is to fly to all of the question marks, but that's kind of like labor intensive. So there is there's an obvious transportation object ahead here, this unknown object. So I'm going to start guidance to it, with the assumption that it is the superhighway that leads me to Grand Exchange 1. And I would compare this to Star Sector. It's really like a 3D Star Sector. I would say, unlike Star Sector, that doesn't do a lot of production. Star Sector's production is sort of baked into colonization with the resources you exploit from planets. This has a way more in-depth, like factory building and production facility building than Star Sector. So you can build massively complex trade empires in this game, whereas Star Sector, that's just simply not the case. So this is a bit more... Star Sector is way more geared towards specifically combat, and this game allows you to do trading, mining, exploration, faction wars, things like that. So it's it's like a 3D Star Sector, which is slightly more geared towards empire building. Would be my opinion, perhaps. I mean, I don't know how many hours I have in Star Sector because it's not in Steam, so I don't track that stuff. But I have, for the X series, this is X4, but I played a lot of X3 and X3 Terran Conflict and Reunion and X2, and so I probably have a reasonable amount of hours playing those games. So these superhighways are directional, and I just so happen to be flying at the exit, not the entryway. So let's go into the entryway, or it won't work. we are now in Grand Exchange
Entering
4.
Grand Exchange 4.
And I need to find Grand Exchange 1. So quests like this are kind of nice because it has me fill in a lot more of my like galaxy map. But it can be a little bit frustrating because I'm not really sure where I'm supposed to go without cheating, and I haven't been cheating. There is like a lot of third-party maps that you can open up. So I have one over here just to make sure that I'm like kind of heading in the right direction. The other thing that I could have done is, if I'm doing a lot of long-distance traveling, I could upgrade my ship with Travel Drive Mark III. It wouldn't make me that good in combat, because I would have much lower boost power to be able to get away from hostiles, but my travel speed between point A and point B would be a lot faster, which would be pretty ideal. So, also, Scorpio, to answer your other part of your question, I'm going to raise my hand, or rather, you know what I'll do? I'm going to be blue while I'm giving you a tiny spoiler. So the message that came along for that signal leak thing leads to the ability to teleport yourself over distances instantly. So there's another alternative method for like fast travel, long range, that quest line offers. Thank you for tuning in to X4 Foundations, which originally streamed live on Twitch as a miniseries June 22nd. Because this was streamed live as a miniseries, feedback cannot be incorporated, and I've also asked for no spoilers or backseating, so if you could avoid that in the comments, that would be great. If you would like to catch a live stream of mine, Rhadamant.com has my stream schedule and countdown timers to upcoming streams, as well as a link to Twitch. If you would like to join my online gaming community on Discord, Rhadamant.com also has a link to that as well. Thank you so very much for watching, and a special thank you to my Twitch subscribers, Patreon patrons, and the people that turned out to the miniseries, as well as viewers like you that support the channel and made it all the way to the credits. So thank you so very much. I hope to catch you next episode or an upcoming stream of mine. Farewell, my fellow pilots.